Welcome into episode number 138 of The Voice Behind the Voice. I'm Sean Aronson, TV and radio broadcaster of the St. Paul Saints, an independent minor league baseball team in the Twin Cities. Have you been waiting with bated breath to find out what my Vegas trip was like? I'd pull out my wallet now and show you the lack of cash that I have to give you the embarrassment of how bad the trip was on the gambling side of things. Now, the trip wasn't for gambling, but you're in Vegas. You're going to throw down some money. I spent all of the initial Sunday that I was there, the only Sunday that I was there, at the Westgate Sportsbook watching football. I bet, I think, 3 different 4-team parlays, lost them all. Then this past Sunday, because you can gamble on games even when you're not there and you can mail it in if you win, I did 3 more 4-team parlays, lost them all. And I think through the course of the week that I was there, I did an extra 2 or 3 4-team parlays on basketball, hockey, whatever, lost them all. I did not hit one parlay while I was there. And I don't bet games individually. I bet the parlays, 3 or 4 game parlays. Lost every one of them. Top of that. And I'm a blackjack guy. I didn't play blackjack, though. I played craps. I've started to enjoy that game a little bit more. Had a very, very good first night at the craps table. It was great. Taught a couple of people how to play in our front office that had never played before. Humorous story that was involved in that in our executive vice president. The first time that he played, the first role that he had, I turned to him and I said, just one note for you. Pick the dice up with just one hand. You can't pick it up with 2 hands. I felt like that was good enough for him, that was all he needed to know, until he literally did this with the dice. He takes it and Chuck Knoblocks it, where he holds onto the dice too long, and it's him, me, someone else from our office, and then to the right of someone else from our office, some other guy, and he hit the guy to the right there of the guy from our office, like maybe 5 feet away. He just hung on to it too long. Instead of going across the craps table, he literally shanked it off to the right and hit the guy. It was hilarious. And I turned to him and I said, don't worry, people throw it off the table all the time. What I didn't have the heart to tell him is they don't throw it like 5 feet away from him off the table. But it was humorous. It was great. My problem was I went back to the craps table the next day, and that kicked my butt. So overall, it was a losing trip on the gambling side. As far as the baseball winter meetings went, as I figured, very spread out, a lot of things going on, but I did run into some folks. I was about 10 feet away at one point from Tony La Russa. I was in the same elevator with Joe Morgan, who I didn't even recognize. It's been a while since you've seen Joe Morgan. Last time you probably saw him was ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball, but I did not recognize him. There was another gentleman in the elevator with us that he was talking to Joe Morgan, and I kind of put 2 and 2 together, figuring out who it was. But I saw a number of other people as well. But I'm not someone that gets starstruck. I didn't stop. I didn't ask for selfies. I wasn't the guy that was sitting in the background pretending to take a picture of someone else, but in reality taking a picture of that person. I'm just, it's nice to see. I've been to them before. You get all the sports stations set up around with ESPN Baseball Tonight and the Major League Baseball Network. NBC Sports was there. So multitude of different media people that were out there. Had a chance to check out the Vegas Golden Knights Arena as well. And that's a nice arena. Went there for an after party that was put on by the food and beverage company that does our food and beverage here at the ballpark. So overall, great trip. 6 days, way too long. I'm never going to spend 6 days again in Vegas. 3 days, 2 nights, perfect. If you really want to stretch it to 4 days, 3 nights, okay, but maybe that's stretching it a little bit. I didn't even spend a lot of time on the Strip, but overall, Vegas is always a good time. Mandalay Bay, beautiful hotel. Highly recommend it for anyone that's going to Vegas, even though it's on one end of the Strip and really not in the heart of the Strip. But very nice overall. Did an interview while I was there, which I'll play in a few weeks. Before we get to this week's guest, just a note that I will record the opens for the next 2 episodes at the end of this week. Our office is shut down from Christmas until just after New Year's. So, with that said, I'll record these opens early because I'm not going to record them via video from my home on a phone, just not as nice. Speaking of phones, that'll be in the next open, so you have to wait for next week for that. But I'll record the next 2 opens early, so just FYI on that. With that said, episode number 138 with Dave Hunziker of Oklahoma State. Super nice guy. And you may know a little bit of the backstory. This was, I don't know now, 15 years ago, give or take, 20. I should probably know since I interviewed him. The Oklahoma State plane crash that unfortunately killed a number of people, including their former broadcaster. And Dave was the guy that took over for that. So you may know that story, but he divulges a little piece of information that he says on the podcast he's never told anyone else before. So, and really lets you into the type of person that he is. I'd heard so many good things about Dave, how nice and genuine he was, and I found that to be true. We did this at the hotel where the team was staying at. They were in town to play the Gophers in the first ever Division I game at US Bank Stadium, as they will host the Final Four at the end of March, beginning of April. By the way, I plan on going. Haven't bought my ticket yet, but I do plan on going. So you have to do some dry run-throughs so that they can make sure that the stadium, the lighting is right. They have to put up black drapes to close out the windows and all this other stuff. So they were in town to play that game. We did this at the hotel right in front of near the elevator. There was a little workstation in front of the elevators there. You won't hear a lot of background noise, but if you do hear some people walking by, just know we're right next to the elevator. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, you can do so on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And again, if you want to get me a gift for this holiday season, a nice rating, 5 stars. That would help me out. That would be great. So again, please rate the podcast. You can follow us on social media, on Twitter, @TheVoiceBTV, Facebook, facebook.com/TheVoiceBTV, and you can always email me, thevoicebtv@gmail.com. All right, let's get to it. Episode number 138 with Dave Hunziker of Oklahoma State. JW, roll the open.
I'm getting on the plane to connect to Nashville, and he says, Dave, did you hear what happened? It's like, no, what happened? He said, Oklahoma State basketball team, there was an accident. I was like, oh my gosh. And I had interviewed Tom Dorado, who would later become my colleague on the broadcast, for some of the pre and post and so forth I'd done at KFRU. And he was the first person I thought of. I thought, oh my gosh. And then when I got in the car to drive from Nashville back to Bowling Green, I turned on the radio and then I heard everything.